This week in comic books, DC introduces us to a new character, but is he really a villain? I don't know. We'll have to check that out. Over in Marvel, they're just going to go ahead and launch us into another event with a bunch of tie-ins into it because we're suckers. And as far as the independents go this week, AWA, new publisher, new writers, new comic book line, and it's weird, but it's weird in a good way. Let's chat it up and have some awkward sips of coffee. Oh, and to the guy that bought up all the Venoms at my comic book store and tried to sell me one out in the parking lot for 15 bucks, you can go. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for coming by. Appreciate having you here. If this is your first time to the show, basically what I do is I read a bunch of comic books and I kind of give my take or my review on them as quickly and as bite-sizable as I can in any meaningful way.
That's so dope.
So without further ado, let's just launch right into this and let's talk about Superman number 25. So this rolls back out. DC has to make these stuff a little bit more interesting, right? We've been saying that for a while now. DC's kind of been slacking off. But they turned around and they did. First off, I'm really digging the artwork they're doing in here now. We get our first look at this new character.
You found my weakness? Used it against me like kryptonite.
I believe you pronounce his name, and I'm going to butcher this, but it's Eisno Alkor. I know everybody was saying the new character, Synmar. That's actually the name of the race that he's apparently part of. Really kind of cool. So we get a first appearance of a race and like their version of Superman, or what they built to be Superman. It's kind of the whole concept here. This particular race has known about Superman ever since Krypton blew up and kind of watched him. And the ruler of these people, president, whatever you want to call her, I assumed a her, because I don't know, that's probably wrong.
I'm a dude.
I don't really know, but it just seems like a her to me. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so she wanted like her own hero too. So they kind of made this character in here. Super strong, lots of battles, and I really like the way they talk in here because they talk in like, you know, may your light be with you and share your light with me. So there's kind of like this religious undertone to the whole thing, even though they're not harping on religion, but everything's kind of light based, you know, meaning the soul or anything like that. I thought that was interesting, but I don't see this guy being a long-term villain. He's very passionate and he shows mercy, and he has feelings you wouldn't normally associate with a villain. So ultimately what I think we're going to end up getting is like the two superheroes that kind of battle it out, and then eventually they become probably not like that, just a tip, no, they become partners and probably fight the evil people or something along those lines. Possibility, that's what I see it for. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the guy's like, oh, I hate all Earthlings because you don't share the light, or whatever the case may be. That would be cool. But I think we got a predictable story ahead of us, and probably not a very long-standing DC character, unfortunately.
I know everyone's eyes glaze over when I talk about this.
Moving on. So this is interesting, this death metal, the Infinity Crisis. So our heroes, these ones right here, have to go all the way back in time and space, all the way back to the Infinity Saga that happened a long time ago. And they're going to try to recreate this as best they can and kind of change things. But then we see that things have been put in their way. Like, it's been changed already. The Batman Who Laughs has already kind of changed these kind of things while he's chasing the speedsters at the same time. When he had time to do all this.
Why is this all happening?
I don't know. We also get a new look at a new character in here called the Pearl, which is like this weird-looking Batman. I think it's just a spin-off of a character we already know, and we may just be looking at it differently. I'm not sure. I got to do a little bit more research into that. But nevertheless, this is that beautiful 1 in 25 cover right there. I had to pick that up.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
It was just epically awesome. Plus, they didn't have another band cover. I've been collecting the band cover ones. So there's that. But for the most part, this is actually an enjoyable read. I recommend this. It's silly at one level, but then you're like, oh wow, that's kind of epic. At the same time, it's very hard to explain, but I am enjoying it, and a lot of different takes on characters in here. Like we see Swamp Thing kind of man up finally. He's not just some crippled weed that's constantly dying. Robin King's got, he's wanting to drop some bombs, and just like Batman, he's always prepared. He had all these kind of cool gadgets, and then we kind of see this awkward kiss with Harley Quinn and Jonah Hex, where she's like, "Did you give me some tongue?" And he's like, "Babe, I got no cheek there. Got to touch you with something." That was
Boys just being boys. Thank goodness.
cringy. That was cringy. All right, moving on. Of course, we got to talk about the last of the Empire run. We got Empire Fallout. So, Empire Fallout. So, we got to bring in the Profiteer because she's a Profiteer and a weapons dealer. And when she can't figure out what something is, that obviously means that it's older than her. So, they were trying to figure out where all the weapons came from that the Coyotes? Coyotes? No. The plant people, the salad people, whatever weapons they were using, they were trying to figure out where these weapons came from. Well, come to find out, it's from the first race, whatever that means. It's enough to bring our favorite Watcher back into the scene, because apparently the new Watcher, nobody cared about him.
Oh, bless your heart, no.
Also, we get a great scene in there. It was almost like a Scooby-Doo moment. If you look at my Instagram, I swear it was a Scooby-Doo moment. And then we're going to launch right into, because we got to have another wedding. Because that's right, Hulkling and Wiccan had another wedding. Why did they have another wedding? I'm waiting for you to answer. That made no sense to me. But a homosexual Jewish space wedding, I might actually want to go to that myself. That sounds pretty epic, and that was kind of funny in here. But the interesting thing that happened in here, well, Alpha Flight, the leader of Alpha Flight, kind of has a problem with all the heroes. Apparently, they're treated like they're some kind of second-rate hero team, which they are.
You want to get cut, bitch?
I'm sorry if you're an Alpha Flight fan, but let's just be real. The Canadian version of the X-Men was not that interesting. But we're supposed to believe that they have some epic role in here. But according to somebody's vision, in the future, they just may end up being villains. I always thought Alpha Flight would make better villains than heroes. Am I horrible for that? Like, I don't know. Heroes are just boring. Let's launch that. Okay. Next, Amazing Spider-Man. Again, picked up the last copy of this. And there's a big line down the middle. Not my comic book guy's fault, but hey, I read comic books and review them, right? So we're launching onto the Sin Eater story, and man, I was on board with it. I was like, this is so good. Yeah, you know where this is going. This one's going to sting a little bit.
Drama queen.
And then all of a sudden, we got to throw in the entire Spider-Verse family in there, and for no other reason. So Spider-Man's got to go maybe save the Green Goblin, Osborn, right? Osborn. Got to go save Osborn. And he's debating if he should or if he shouldn't. Now, Spider-Man, this should be an internal conflict that he has, right? The Green Goblin has caused the man nothing but hell his entire life. But then again, Sin Eater has too. Ugh. So then the argument is, well, you know, when Sin Eater eats their sin, I guess, they're like good people. Look at the ones that were in Ravenclaw in the hospital there. You know, they turned into model patients. By the way, they're rioting now. Like, the moment the sound went off, right? So they're just part of Sin Eater's army. So we get Spider-Woman, Spider-Woman number 2, Spider-Gwen, that's the clone, because we have to be reminded of that. And a joke about her being Ghost Spider, because they can't make up a name for her that will stick. And we get Miles Morales in there too, and they're all like, you should, you shouldn't. They even admit as a group that they were doing this whole Ebenezer Scrooge, you know, Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, Future thing on him. They were trying to play Spider-Man, and they're still trying to act like they're the good guys in this situation.
Is anyone buying this?
The truth is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he does. Like, I mean, ethically speaking, it doesn't matter. Because if he saves them, it's good. If he saves them, it's bad. It's kind of like that whole trolley experiment that you can play in your head when you're trying to make decisions. Trolley's going down the path. You can switch the track to either one, but there's something dreaded to happen on the other end. A group of people versus a person, a child. It's that kind of scenario going on in here.
Elucidate on that.
Either way, you're not going to make the right decision. So just flip the switch already and move forward and get it done. This is not interesting. This is just us being told that these other spider characters exist in a story that was kind of interesting, but now it's just going to get muddled and weird, and all the spider people are going to fight. Ugh. Okay. Surprisingly, I've never been one for like old school Japanese movies like Godzilla, where they wore the costumes and they ran around. I was never really into that. And even more so, I'm not into like anime or manga. These aren't my things. So, like, the people that enjoy that stuff, by all means, fill to your heart's content. However, I just never really enjoyed them very much. And then I read The Rise of Ultraman. Now, I know what you're saying, Joey. That's not true manga. That's not true anime. That's not true. It's not, what we consider. Okay. Again, I'm not interested in the stuff. This kind of had the vibe to it, but without all the stuff I don't like. Does that make sense?
Oh, I wish.
It's like, if you get that, comment down below. I don't know why. It read like a good comic book story, but the art styling in it kind of remind me, maybe not the oversized round eyes for everybody, but, it just kind of had that feel to it to me. Maybe it's all Asian and I'm slightly biased. I don't know. But I did like this. This is an origin story for the new Ultraman that's coming out, right? And they kind of piggyback off the old one. Really good stuff. I enjoyed this. I really like it because it's kind of written in the perspective of some new recruits for a secret organization. I also liked how the narrative, when it's being written in there, they were like scratch out certain words, like redacting certain statements and stuff in it. I thought that was funny. And then you get these little pages on, how to do something or why something happened, and they're like cadet training book, if you will. And why somebody was like, that would never happen in real life. If you were in the Army, please comment down below if you've ever read the PMCS monthly magazine with the sergeant and those cartoon characters in it. Remember the booklet, and it would give you little tips on like how to change your oil in a Humvee or some garbage like that. Ooh. Definitely comment down, because that's what it felt like to me. It was sillier, right? But you kind of have that moment where you're like, yeah, it was kind of similar. Okay. Last book that I read this week was The Resistance. I cannot say that without saying it that way. It's ridiculous. So this is interesting. You almost kind of get an XMen kind of vibe from it.
We could have the masks even.
But then you realize that the ones with the powers, they're all younger people, and they're revolting, and they have to use this middle-aged old guy who was on the Secretary of Defense, chairman, and they have to use him even though he doesn't have powers or whatever. Not yet. But anyway, they have to liberate a place where Russia had come in. And we're talking about somewhere close near Croatia, and where all that turmoil is constantly in Europe. So we kind of get some introspect there. We meet some of the characters in here, some of the newer ones. Chock load of new things. If you think this is going to be a universe, which they confirmed in the editorial, that this is going to be kind of like the base for a multi-issued verse type of thing. Kind of like XMen.
Which is better.
Yeah. As far as that goes. Okay. Moving on to some other picks that I picked up this week. I went ahead and picked this up. Yeah, I spent a few bucks. I went ahead. This is the 4th printing.
An archaically superficial reflection of the male fantasy.
This is the rare Batman number 92. I also have the purple cover version of this. One per store. Really happy to get that. Just lucked out with that. And I went ahead and picked up this because I have the color version of this one. And I swore to myself I would never cover buy again. I gave up cover buying. But every now and then you'll get something a little cool that just falls in your lap. How do you pass it up?
Who cares?
All right. One last thing. We haven't taken an awkward sip of coffee yet, so grab your coffee mugs and salute. Oh, yeah, that deserves two. Oh, that's a good one. And let's talk about comic book etiquette. It's no secret that I have sold comic books in the past. I've picked up estate sales. I often have my own auction site that I actually run through people's online auction, where I sell comic books. But never, ever have I gone in and bought up 20 copies of a comic book to go sell.
Are you serious?
I'll be honest with you, that is the most douchebag thing you can do, like legitimately. And that happened to me. So somebody picked up all the Venoms in this one particular comic book store that I swung in purposely to get that comic book because it was sold out in other ones. And the guy was standing outside of the comic book shop. I went inside and the guy was like, yeah, some guy just came in and bought my last 20 of them. And I was like, really? I was like, people actually do that. I've never experienced that before. And I go outside and he's in the parking lot and like he's doing it like a drug dealer. He's like, you looking for this, man? Not even bagged and board. He's out in the heat, hands all sweaty.
What is that?
And I was like, well, yeah, I would like to read that. I would legitimately like to read that book. That would be really cool. And he was like, $15. And I was like, dude, I can take it from you. Like I'm not like a physically demanding guy, right?
Like, how hard can you throw?
But like this guy was small. Like he was like, yeah, maybe he's some kind of ninja master comic book collector. I don't know. But oh my God, I've never in the entire time in the comic book community meeting all the different personalities and all the different people, I have never wanted to ball up my fist and feed somebody their teeth before until that happened. I didn't, because notice I'm not in jail. But happily, I still am getting a copy. So big shout out to Spectacular Spider Grandpa. He picked me up a copy of it. I'm looking forward to reading it. Thank you, Spectacular Spider Grandpa. Also, just on a side note, don't forget about Blaster or Stash It Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the YouTubes. You can check out myself, Huey, Spectacular Spider Grandpa, and who knows, we'll probably throw somebody else in there eventually.
And everyone kind of thinks we're losers.
We're all going to sit around and we're going to talk about comic books and make fun of them or give them thumbs up, blast or stash. And also on a final note, just please send some prayers out to Huey there. Apparently they had a huge fire out there in Oregon. And luckily his house didn't get hit, but apparently the neighborhood was pretty devastated. So definitely send a little love out that way, some positive vibes, whatever your thing is, prayer, whatever your thing is. I'm sure they could use it out there. That community sounds like it's been pretty devastated. And then also Paul, or Midwest Scotsman, apparently his town got hit with a tornado not too long ago. So it just seems like it's all going around. We lucked out here in Virginia. The hurricane went to the Gulf. Oh, sorry for all you people in the Gulf. That sounds horrible. My gain or whatever. All right, guys, I got to get out of here before I put my foot in my mouth any farther. All right, guys, stay safe, stay away from each other, and stay healthy. And I'll catch y'all on the flip. Bye.
Man, someone needs a mani-pedi massage combo pronto.